Welcome to episode 30 of Pop Kannon. My name is Jordan.
I am Robert.
I'm Andrew.
My name is Brian.
Dirty 30.
Dirty 30.
Did you just come up with that, Rob? That's really good.
I did. Right
Wow.
now.
Wow, dude, you should put that on t-shirts.
So here we are, episode 30 of the Pop Kannon podcast. And it's the most wonderful time of the year as we are talking our Christmas lists.
That's right. 5 top 5s from your favorite 4 people.
There's 5 of us here. It's me, you, Brian, Jordan, and
The Christmas Spirit.
Mark.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. Sure.
Of course, the Christmas Spirit being the spirit of Christmas Future, which is a dauntingly large, overbearing, Grim Reaper-like motherfucker.
Is that
For
what that is?
Christmas. Just play sleigh bells over it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as you have actual jingle bells, it makes everything Christmas.
He won't stop pointing at me.
So we asked a bunch of our listeners their top 5 lists. We got some fun responses. So throughout our lists, we will be incorporating those as well as messages from previous guests of the podcast.
How fun and exciting. What a nice year end. Tie it all in. Happy New Year, everybody. You know? Wow. We really thought of everything in this one. Right,
I mean,
fellas?
wow. Come on, fellas. I mean, wow.
So what's our first top 5 list, guys?
Let's go with Netflix originals. Let's give our top 5 Netflix originals, and we're talking series, not films.
So, I realized once we set this that I had been neglecting the Netflix originals, both films and series, and my Netflix account. So I've been cramming for the past week and a half as many series and films as I could. So I'd say probably overall I've seen maybe about a dozen different ones. I'm starting with my number 5 is Love, Death, and Robots.
Nice.
That's so good.
Which was unbelievable. I couldn't it's 18, I believe, 18 little relatively short films or vignettes. I thought from the title that everything was going to have robots in it, but it's not. It's that it incorporates one of those themes, either love or death or robots, in a sci-fi / fantasy realm, mostly sci-fi though, and it was excellent. I really, really enjoyed that. I highly recommend that if you have not seen it. And it's about 3 hours and 45 minutes total for all 18. That's just a good evening if you want to just watch all that.
Aren't they doing a second season, too?
They are.
They are.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was very pleased when I saw that show, and I knew you guys would love it, so glad you finally got around to watching it, Brian.
I would probably put Love, Death, and Robots as my honorable mention for Netflix.
Bastard.
I know. This is a tough list, but I have, for number 5, I have The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh.
'Cause I enjoyed that show
That is
quite
a good
bit.
show.
Yeah, it was just really fun. You know what? I'm sitting here. I don't think we watched the final episode.
I'm like a full season behind on that.
But yeah, it was really good. I like that really kind of those quick jokes that they just rapid fire them out at you, and everyone. I don't know, fun, good characters.
Ellie Kemper is super funny and adorable.
Oh yeah, she's great. Everybody in the show is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm way behind on that.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
I definitely watched the first season. I got halfway through the second, and then I just fell out of it, unfortunately.
But yeah, I would pick that as my number 5 for Netflix originals.
My number 5 Netflix original series is Haunting of Hill House.
Ooh.
I still haven't watched that yet.
It is phenomenal.
Andrew, you're going to love it.
Dude, it's so far beyond horror. There are horror elements, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of stuff that'll jump scare and spook you out and whatnot. But it is entirely a show about family trauma.
Heard a lot of stuff about it.
And
Sweet.
I absolutely loved it. and they're doing a second season. It takes place in a different haunting.
It's different characters and everything.
Different characters. So at
Doing
first
like
when they announced the second season, I was very against it because I was like, you can't make that more perfect. But
They're doing like an American Horror Story kind of thing.
I guess so.
Like an
yeah.
anthology
But, I mean, this
series.
was so fucking well done. I loved it.
Yeah, this was a Mike Flanagan project, and he's done like Oculus and the new Doctor Sleep. So he's very well versed in horror.
And there's that one episode that's just like a one shot for the entire fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
So fucking good.
Jumping from that, my number 5 pick for Netflix originals is Daredevil.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's really fucking low on your list.
Yeah. But it's like, it was hard. This list was
Yeah, it is.
probably the most difficult out of all of them for me.
So for my number 4, since Jordan, you just mentioned one of the Marvel Netflix shows, I only have 2 Marvel Netflix shows on my top 5, and this is obviously the second one, Jessica Jones.
Nice.
I will say that I left off Punisher, I left off Iron Fist, I left off Luke Cage and Defenders, because looking at the entirety of the show, all 3 seasons, I enjoyed Jessica Jones more than all of those other ones that I mentioned.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Jessica Jones, love that show. Just, for me, that first season was so fucking strong.
It was.
Yeah. The second season was okay. It was maybe a little lackluster. But the third season came back and was, again, for me, was stronger than the second season. Maybe not as the first, but overall, those 3 seasons together, really just a fucking great show. Kristen Ritter nails that fucking character. I love I'm not into horror much, but there's a very horror element in the first season that I really dug with the Purple Man and
Mr. Purple.
Yes, and
Professor Plum.
David Tennant, of course, nailed that character. So I just thought that was just such a strong season, bolstered by the third season and the second season being okay, that it was a really good series.
Good enough to earn your number 4.
Absolutely.
My number 4 for Netflix. I picked BoJack Horseman.
Nice.
If you guys have seen that show yet.
I have not. It is on my list, but I have not seen it yet.
It is, I mean, on the surface, it just, looks like funny cartoon, but it has surprisingly deep emotional beats throughout the show. It's an out there show, man, because you have this kind of weird surrealist humor with these really relatable, powerful moments scattered throughout it, and you're actually worried about these fucking crazy cartoon characters. It's funny. The animation's fine. But it was definitely, I had people telling me to watch this for years, and we finally sat down and watched it, and I can't wait to finish it, because it's I think the second half of the last season comes out in January.
Nice.
Is it Will Arnett?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And he has a fantastic voice.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
He's Batman.
Yeah. Will Arnett,
one of the
Aaron
Batman.
Paul, Amy Sedaris. It's a great
I think
cast,
Patton
too.
does a voice on it too.
Nice.
He does a couple, but yeah, he definitely does one character in particular. But yeah, that's my number 4, BoJack Horseman. Go check it out.
Number 4 for me is Punisher.
Nice.
Those 2 seasons of that show for me resonated really, really strongly, and I absolutely love that program, 100%. I love the cast of what the hell, John Bernthal as Frank Castle. I thought he's fantastic, tying in Karen Page, just everything that goes down in it. Even Jigsaw was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I love that show so much. That's definitely one that I would go back and watch multiple times.
Yeah, it's such a bummer that it ends with him. He's the fucking Punisher, like,
right, when he finally becomes what we know as Punisher.
Yeah, I think if it had had a third season that they would have treated, with that lived up to that last shot.
Yeah,
maybe that would have made my top 5 then.
Yeah, I agree with Brian at that.
Yeah, what could have been.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 for Netflix originals is Glow.
Nice.
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Nice.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
Dude,
I've
it's
heard
good.
so much about it.
Allison Bree's fantastic. Just the actual psychology of wrestling is fantastic in it. And then just like the character moments. I love each and every
There's
one
so
of those
many character
characters.
moments. So many good characters.
Yeah, that's on my list, and I was hoping to get to that sometime in the past week, but I didn't. So
Honestly, I think you'll love it.
I'm sure I will, and I have a natural proclivity to appreciate everything Allison Brie does. So
Mark Maron is
oh
fantastic.
yeah, I've heard
show.
he's great too.
Dude,
Yeah.
legitimately.
So my number 3 is Russian Doll.
Nice.
So this is one of the shows that I had started actually months ago, hoping that we were going to like discuss the season of it, and then kind of dropped it off when we didn't, and then watched the rest of it, within the last week and a half. And holy shit, this is an amazing show. I'm super psyched that it's going to get a second season. I don't know how they'll do that, but I'm looking forward to it. Natasha Lyonne's amazing in it. I love, it's really not a hard left turn, but there's a turn that comes that they build towards. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are themes like of mental illness. I absolutely, that I related to, that hit really hard for me. And I dug everything about it. I mean, yeah, people are going to say like, oh, well, it's Groundhog Day, the show, and that there's a very thin connective tissue there, but it really is its own thing. I thought that it was just really well done. There are these nice little half-hour episodes that you can easily just daisy chain together. And I just really enjoyed that, and it hit me really hard. So yeah, that's my number 3.
Yeah, and Amy Poehler's like one of the showrunners.
Right.
And like creators.
And Natasha Lyonne, I think she's also
she's
part of that too.
Yup.
So it was a project of hers as well. So not just starring in.
But yeah, I love that show. I thought it was like a great first season, altogether truncated. And like you said, I'm really curious to see how they pull off a second season.
Yeah.
Are they doing a second season?
They are.
I almost kind of, I don't know. It seemed like such a perfect wrap up to me. I guess it'll be cool to see the characters again, but it seemed like it finished pretty clean.
It could always be one of those anthology series again.
Right.
True.
We just don't know.
My number 3 is also Russian Doll.
Hey!
Oh!
High five!
So-
High five through the phone. Yeah.
But yeah, basically everything you hit every mark that I had, Brian. It was a fantastic show. The acting was great. It had the moments. It had the good moments of levity, and then it also had crushing moments.
The humor in it. The humor. I mean, yeah, like the emotional stuff hits hard, but the humor in it is so fucking funny. It's really a funny show. It's dark. Don't get me wrong. It's a dark show, but the humor is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's basically a rated R show, so that it's good for that too.
Sweet birthday, baby.
Oh my god. Oh, her friends are the best. Anyway,
My number 3 is House of Cards.
Ooh. That's a show that I never really got into. I watched the pilot and I did not continue.
But politics doesn't do it for you.
Exactly.
So I never expected you to like it. But if politics does do it for you, absolutely a show to watch. For sure.
if you can get past the Kevin Spacey of it now, because some people can't.
He's the main character of the show. I didn't watch the last season because he was the show for me. But even without that final season of it, that is my number 3. If he stayed on for that final season, it'd probably be my number 1.
Wow.
Because I loved it that much.
Okay.
But knock it down a few pegs for all of the reasons that have nothing to do with the actual television program itself. But it's my number 3. The first episode immediately pulled me in. I watched the entire first season at my old job when I would work Saturday and Sunday, and went home, told Amanda about it. We watched the entire first season again like immediately, and then patiently awaited every season that came out thereafter.
So I watched the first 3 seasons. I thought the first 2 were excellent. Just, I mean, and especially that first season was just good God. But the second season was really, really good too. The third season, it kind of lost me, and this was before all the shit that about him came out. And then once the shit about him came out, I was like, well, I'm not going back and trying. So
well, they changed the show. The focus of the show started to change.
Yeah,
and once they started making it more about Claire, is where it started to lose me.
For me, I think it was like when he became president.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're no longer
president,
doing the backdoor dealings to get there. Now you're on top. You know?
Yeah.
So it's less intrigue, but more like how you stay there.
Right. And it was still somewhat interesting and somewhat, compelling.
I mean, I enjoyed him as president, and once they added Joel Kinnaman to it as like the guy running against him, I thought that was awesome because I'll watch Joel Kinnaman do anything. But yeah, so that's my number 3.
My number 3 is The Haunting of Hill House.
Nice.
Oh,
cool. I adored that show. That show for me is like one of the best. And when I was making this list, I knew where I wanted to put it, and it was somewhere in the top 3. I just wasn't sure where. So I finally settled on 3 being The Haunting of Hill House.
I think initially the first draft of this list I had it at number 3, but I knocked it back a little bit, just because it was one season. So I figured there was other stuff that I had watched religiously leading up to that before it. So,
but this show has everything that I love. It's got the scary, creepy moments. It's got the deep, personal, character-driven scenes where it's just 2 people in a room talking, and it's just captivating. And then you go a step further with the cinematography and
oh my god,
the way that they set the shots up, and then the way that they executed the show. Thought it was absolutely incredible. And that episode where it's basically one continuous shot throughout blew my mind. And it might be one of the best hours of television I've ever seen.
Unbelievably done.
I love it when productions do that. That's awesome.
Because like they didn't have to, they could have just shot it straight forward, but they were like, no, let's go artsy as fuck.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 2 is The Man Without Fear, Daredevil.
Nice.
I love this show. It is obviously, I think it's the cream of the crop, just about, or just under. Really, I would say it's probably really a tie with my number 1, but we'll get to that. That first season was super strong. It just grabs you by the balls and doesn't let go. And it even though it has the Netflix dip, somewhere around like maybe episode 5 or 6, it's a very shallow dip. Season 2 for me was even better than season 1 because he's established. You add in Punisher, you add in Elektra. The Hand is more prevalent. It just I loved everything about season 2. So whenever I watch it, I'll just watch those 2 seasons like one right into the other.
The first 4 episodes that featured Punisher in season 2 could be its own film.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when we talked about that, I was like, wow, they really should just do that. Like they just should. But it would have fucked with MCU shit. So they didn't want that. But season 3 was really good too. Post Defenders. I felt like they picked up the pieces that unfortunately the Defenders created and made a good season of TV out of it. But as good as season 3 was, season 2 and 1 are just so much better. But still, the whole thing, unbelievable. Yeah. Just one of the best series of television I've ever seen. Wish we had gotten more.
No, yeah, exactly. I thought 3 was perfect. I thought 3 was my favorite out of all 3 of those seasons.
Wow. Okay.
I needed to have Daredevil in my top 5.
I've gone online very few times for like a production to look at an auction for things from it. And when they announced that there was going to be the Daredevil and all the shows going to have auctioned items, I went on there and I tried to get a couple things, but good Lord, things went up real quick.
Yeah.
I can imagine. My number 2 is Stranger Things.
Ooh.
Yeah. I adore this show. It's so well put together. I'm a big fan of, 80s horror and sci-fi to begin with. So when we got a modern take on 80s horror and sci-fi, I was all in. All the kids are great in it. Story's great, character's great. The monsters are genuinely fucked up and creepy looking. They don't shy away from like the dark, gory horror elements. It's got a little bit of something for everybody. And I mean, it was this huge, I mean, it still kind of is the next season. It'll be this, it's phenomenon every time it comes out. That's all everybody talks about for a week afterward. And I definitely think it deserves
More.
Yeah.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was blown away by, I love it. I love Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is also my number 2.
Wow. Interesting.
Wow.
Also my number 2 show. All the things Andrew said, obviously. But if you want to hear us gush about Stranger Things, you could just listen to the entire hour and 15-minute episode that we did on it in the summertime. It's instantly captivating from the opening theme song, and then from there you're stuck, and in the best way possible. So yeah, Stranger Things is my number 2 as well.
Stranger Things is also my number 2.
Wow. Interesting.
Like both Rob and Andrew said already, it hooks you from Jump Street, and the kids are so charming. The adults are so charming. Like, everything just pulls you right in, and you are in Hawkins for that entire ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that, yeah, like Andrew said, has become a cultural phenomenon, and I absolutely love it.
I love the fact that it's cross-generational.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where, like, like when your parents are like, "Did you watch Stranger Things yet?" You're like, "Really, Mom? Okay, cool." Or like a younger sibling or a younger niece or nephew that's like, "Yeah, I love Stranger Things. 11's my favorite." And you're just like, "You too? Shit, this is awesome. We could all watch this thing together." And somehow they made a horror series that incorporates all those people at the same time, because there's something in there literally for everyone.
Yep.
Well, far be it for me to stop this train. My number 1 is Stranger Things.
There it is.
It really wasn't actually that hard for me to put this at number 1. It's my favorite show on Netflix, and as much as I love Daredevil, Stranger Things is operating on a different level, in my opinion. The first season is perfect. It doesn't have a dip. Just goes boom, 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 boom. The second season,
Big old dip.
had a dip.
Big fat dip.
But then the third season was just as strong, if not stronger, than the first season, which is unbelievable. Like, you would think that you establish it with the first season, and then there's just going to be diminishing
Constant
returns.
drop off.
Yeah, diminishing returns every season. But no, third season was fucking amazing, and each season there's emotional impact. And I honestly, I had some of that with Russian Doll, but good Lord, especially with the third season, heavy emotional stuff. And that goes a long way with me. So yeah, Stranger Things is my number 1 show on Netflix. If you are not watching it, watch it. Go get Netflix now.
It was a very tough choice for me between number 1 and number 2. But my number 1 is Daredevil. I was trying to keep just one Marvel Netflix show on the list, just because I just wanted a little more variety, I guess. But Daredevil was so, for all the reasons we've been saying, it was perfect adaptation of the character, and I've been such a huge fan of Daredevil for as long as I can remember, and seeing this just perfect on-screen adaptation of him. Charlie Cox was great. If they ever redo the show, unless they have the same cast and crew working on it, I don't know if I'll really be super interested. I mean, I'll check it out just because I love Daredevil, but I was blown away each season of this. absolutely loved it. Seeing one of my favorite heroes come to life on the screen, and yeah. But I mean, it's a slight margin between that and Stranger Things. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Daredevil.
Daredevil also my number one.
Fuck yeah, let's
Wow.
high five.
So when we were discussing what lists we were going to do and what the quote unquote rules were, this is why I asked if we were going to keep the Marvel shows in with this list, because Stranger Things was my number one because I made a top 5 without any Marvel shows in it. And then once we decided that no, Marvel shows are Netflix shows, I had to change it, because conversely, from what Andrew said, I was not a fan of Daredevil prior to this show. The show made me go read Daredevil comic books and seek out more information about the character and learn everything about him and read all of his classic story arcs and whatnot.
Cool.
So that's why the show's number one for me. And that's not taking anything away from how fantastic Stranger Things is, but that just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason I chose it is just I'm a lifelong comic book fan, you know. But yeah, Jordan?
Ultimately, I've decided my number one Netflix original is Ozark.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's one of the ones I've been meaning to watch.
Just everything about this show is incredible. It's dark. It's engrossing. The acting is friggin' unmatched. Everyone's performance in this show is so good. I love the writing. I love the story. Just the crazy twists and turns. Just seeing how it's going to spiral out of control even further for this family. I love it. I love everything about it. Can't wait for the next season.
That's a show that I have literally heard nothing but good things about. I have not heard one bad thing about it.
I know next to
I
nothing
started
about it.
season 1. I forget how many episodes deep we got. I don't know that. I don't think that we finished season 1 yet, but it's very entertaining.
I've been meaning to watch it. Just I know literally nothing about it other than it has a
Jason Bateman. That's all you
Bateman.
need.
Yeah.
I just remember on recommendations it had a picture of him in Arrested Development right next to him in Ozark. I'm like, this is a little. But
Two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you recommend it, sure, I'll check it out.
Definitely. Now let's just quickly, listener of the podcast, Jason, my brother, actually, gave us his top 5 lists of Netflix originals, and he has number 5 is F is for Family.
I've heard that's good.
That's that Bill Burr comedy. Yep.
Number 4 for him is Ozark. Number 3 for him is Stranger Things.
Wow.
Number 2 for him is Glow. And
Wow.
number 1 is Master of None.
Interesting.
Wow.
I've also heard that's good.
I enjoyed Master of None. It'd probably be like number 7 on a list.
So moving on, next we will list our top 5 Disney Pixar films. But before we get to that, let's hear from Sarah Simonovich.
Hey, it's Sarah. You might remember my voice from the review of It Chapter 2. If you haven't checked it out yet, be sure to give episode 24 a listen. I promise that you won't be disappointed. I'm here with my top 5 Pixar films. I haven't seen some of the more popular ones, so my list is probably a bit different than yours. But we're starting it off with number 5, A Bug's Life. I remember seeing this movie as a kid, and I even had a stuffed bug from that film. It was one of the ants. Number 4, Monsters, Inc. Seriously, what is more iconic than Mike Wazowski and Kitty? Number 3, The Incredibles. Everybody else on this podcast might kill me if I say that this is my favorite superhero film. Number 2, Toy Story. Everybody loves Toy Story. Seriously, I dare you to name a film that is less divisive than Toy Story. And that brings me to my number one favorite Disney Pixar film, and that is Coco. Coincidentally, this is the most recent one that I've seen, and you can even find it covered in episode 29 of Pop Kannon. I'm not in that episode, but you can hear what other people liked about it. If you want to hear more about what I have to say, you can actually check out my podcast, Fairy Tall Tales, where my co-host Megan and I talk about fairy tales, folklore, myths, and legends, and pair them with true crime stories. Seriously, fact or fiction? What's stranger? You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Fairy Tall Tales. And you can at me to tell me how much my top 5 list sucks on Instagram at Serendipity.
Why, thank you so much, Sarah.
But
it's a great list. Sure, there's some things we could debate in there, but
can you
Brian,
believe,
what's your
can
number
you believe
5?
what she picked for number 3? Crazy.
So this is just this was a hard list for me to do. I love the majority of Pixar films. I will say that I have not watched half the Toy Story movies. I have watched none of the Cars movies, but everything else I've now seen. I actually last night, after wasting most of my day with just random shit, I was like, okay, I need to watch Brave, I need to watch The Good Dinosaur, and I need to watch Monsters University. And those are the 3 that I hadn't seen that I wanted to see. So I was able to watch those, and those are really good, but they didn't end up making my list. My number 5 is WALL-E. This movie is so fucking charming. I love that it's such a different movie than what had come before. I don't think there's a word spoken for the first 10, 15 minutes. There's a song, there are songs played, but there's no actual dialogue. WALL-E is fucking adorable for a robot. I found the humor when it landed was so fucking funny, especially when they get to the Axios, I think. Anyway, but they get to the spaceship with the humans. I loved everything about this movie so much.
So my number 5, I'm gonna put Finding Nemo. I did like that movie a lot. So that'll be my number 5. I was between that and Brave because I thought Brave was fun. But yeah, Finding Nemo is great. It's a Pixar movie. It's bright and it's colorful. The graphics are great, or the animation's great. The story is good. The characters can destroy your heart at the same time. I liked it.
My number 5 is Finding Nemo as well.
Oh, I planned that.
It's a very good film. Very much enjoy it. The colors, the story, the characters, all that. The voice acting, the specific characters that they selected to play every person, awesome. And they somehow gave a fish a receding hairline, which is just the coolest thing.
Yep.
But I will say,
I'm just glad I feel represented on screen.
right, of course. It's all about representation.
You're
with
talking
Pixar.
about the whale.
Oh,
He had a receding hairline too.
If I had to pick number 5, it would be Finding Nemo.
Oh wow!
wow. Okay,
So
a resounding it's good but not awesome.
Or
It's just
or it's
because there's
awesome.
better-
Just
there's better movies.
there's just more awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, the colors, the animation, just the voice cast, the fun, heartwarming story. It's a good time.
The coolest thing is going to the aquarium. Obviously, I'm here in Baltimore. I've been to that aquarium I think 2 or 3 times.
Oh yeah.
And every time one of those fish swims by, look, it's Dory.
Right.
Every single time.
The blue tang.
Yeah. Look, it's Dory. And look, Nemo. It's not a clownfish. That film changed the name of those fish for, I think, a full-blown 2 generations of people.
Yeah.
now.
Accurate.
So,
And sold so much merch.
so much merch. All the fucking merch in the world.
Brian, what do you got for number 4?
So my 4 is one of the more recent films. It is Inside Out.
Nice.
I just saw this, I guess maybe about a year ago. and even though it didn't come out that long ago, but I didn't see it when it was in theaters, and I wish I had. This movie was fucking incredible. It's just Pixar. They find new ways to tell these amazing stories, and of course that's, as we go up the list, that's what I have to say just about every single one of these movies. I found it really original. I know that people say like, oh well, Herman's Head, which is a sitcom from the 90s where there's the different parts of the brain or emotions are represented, but this was so much
Moses Jones.
All right, well, I don't know about that, but it just that takes place in the body. This is all in the head, it's all in the mind. I thought it was amazing, and when they start deep diving into what it looks like in all the different characters' heads, it was so fucking hilarious. It was very poignant. All
the characters in the dad's head had mustaches.
Yes. It was just, I loved it. I fucking loved it.
My cobbled together number 4. Actually, number 4, I feel confident. I have The Incredibles.
Nice.
Number 4. I enjoy. I mean, it's a superhero movie. It was fun. I like the family drama in the center of it. I love the way that they all got their powers was so creative. That, the father, he was super strong because he felt like he had to hold the family together, and the mom felt like she was being pulled in every direction, and the kid was a rambunctious kid, the daughter was a teenager.
I think you're reading into it a little much.
No, I was putting my finger on my nose here because, wow, you're really fucking on the nose with that one, Andrew.
Yeah, but
your deep dive analysis.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. But and don't wear capes or you'll get sucked into the fucking turbine of an airplane.
No capes.
I think that's what we all learned from watching The Incredibles.
Basically.
Yeah, that and Lost.
Yeah.
That people getting sucked into airplane turbines is good entertainment, no matter what age. Yeah.
Good entertainment, no matter the age.
It's fun for all ages.
Oh my god.
Number 4 for me is Coco.
Wow.
So
Wow.
our most recent episode was about Disney Pixar's Coco, and if you want to hear me gush emphatically and wax poetically about a movie,
I think that's putting it a little lightly.
yeah, you could listen to episode 29 where I talk all about how much I fucking love the movie Coco.
My number 4 is Toy Story 2.
Nice.
Nice. Love that movie. Love Big Al. Of course, we saw the guy cosplaying as Big Al from Big Al's Toy Barn at Baltimore Comic-Con a couple of years ago.
Yes. The only guy I took a picture of that year.
Yeah. But the introduction of like Jesse and Bullseye, just fantastic characters, fantastic sequel to a movie that I absolutely
This may not
adore.
be the last we hear of Toy Story 2 on somebody's list.
Interesting.
Oh.
Moving on to number 3, Brian.
So my number 3 is Monsters, Inc. Again, as we get up this list, these are all movies that I think are excellent. It's just trying to pick my favorites between them. Monsters, Inc. is one of these. Again, it's such a great original idea.
Totally out of left field.
And executed just so fucking perfectly. Like honestly, all of these movies that I've mentioned, whether they're honorable mentions or these top 5, they're all perfect. They're all fucking perfect. There's nothing about them that I would change. There's nothing about them that I disliked on any level. I love all of these, but Monsters Inc. It's so fucking good. It's so hilarious. The voice cast was perfect. John Goodman and Billy Crystal as Sully and Mike Wazowski, just instantly iconic characters.
And the two of them together.
Yeah, they're great. Like I watched Monsters University last night and it was good. But after Monsters Inc. and they started doing like more Toy Story movies and Cars movies, I was like, when do we get the Monsters Inc. sequel? Because that's what I want. I want Boo's kid involved with it. Like
and they were like, fuck you, we're going prequel.
Right. And again, University was good, but it's like I want to see what goes forward. So hopefully maybe someday we'll still get that. Thankfully John Goodman and Billy Crystal are still alive to be able to reprise these roles. But yeah, Monsters Inc. fucking amazing. That's my number 3.
Nice.
My number 3, I have A Bug's Life.
Wow. Okay.
I distinctly remember watching that movie in class in, 3rd grade maybe 4th grade. And just, I don't know, it was a lot of fun.
Was it for like an entomology class or like
No,
what
I think
the
we were just
fuck?
watching movies. I think the teacher was hungover and we were just watching
okay.
movies that day.
Somebody bring a fucking VHS in, please. I don't care what the fuck it is.
Put something in to shut these kids up.
Yeah. But
We'll watch the rest of it tomorrow.
Oh my god, our educational system is such a mess.
but I put it on there, and also I remember playing the video game on PS1.
Nice.
Dude,
I
I forgot
loved
about
it.
the video game.
It was so much fun. It was
It's a
great.
good game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Andrew
and-
was so struck by the caterpillar.
Oh God! Don't even get me started.
Yeah. Heinrich, yeah.
Yeah, the big fat caterpillar.
like little ants from down here. I love that movie.
Oh shit.
So yeah, it was a fun movie.
My number 3 is The Incredibles. Fantastic fucking movie. There was a point in my youth where my brother and sister were like toddlers and I was a burgeoning teenager, and there were only so many movies that were tolerable for me that they desperately wanted to watch over and over again, and I had no problem when they were like, put The Incredibles on. I was like, fuck yes, The Incredibles.
Fuck yeah.
And then also the tie-in video game on GameCube, fucking good.
Right.
Yeah.
So good. That game was awesome. But yeah, I absolutely love The Incredibles. The stylization of that movie, and just taking from all of the superhero stuff to make a really real family. You know, obviously there's like the connection to the Fantastic Four, but like if you put a team of superheroes together, you're just going to get people saying that anyway. So
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Number 3 for me is also The Incredibles.
Hey.
Like you guys said, it's fantastic film. I love watching that. I love how real it is. Like with him working as like the insurance agent, and he's just like, I'm gonna approve this, but don't say anything, and then he gets fired for it. Like,
Yep.
so good. It just pulls at the heartstrings. Also, where's my super suit?
Oh my god. Frozone, yeah. So again, far be it from me to disrupt this train, but my number 2 is The Incredibles.
Yeah.
With a caveat, that no, it's a good thing because I can't watch these two separate from each other now. It's The Incredibles and Incredibles 2. They go right into each other.
Now, see, I still haven't seen The Incredibles 2.
The Incredibles
Same.
2 picks up right where Incredibles
Yeah.
leaves off with the Underminer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
time off.
Yeah.
it
It's
just
fucking
rolls
great.
right into it.
And it's a great duology. Now, obviously, the technical advances from 10, 14 years. I can't remember how much it was between. I think it was
That's
2004
crazy
to 2018. So yeah, it was 14 year
Crazy
difference.
long
But
time.
Incredibles 2 looks better, but it's just a great little double feature there. I remember when I think Finding Nemo was the movie that came out before Incredibles. So the first Incredibles trailer was with Finding Nemo.
Right.
And after Toy Story and Toy Story 2, other than Toy Story and Toy Story 2, there really weren't any other Pixar films where humans were depicted. And so this was going to be the most recent one about humans that was going to be all about humans. And I remember just like turning to my friends who I was like in the theater with, I was like, ooh, that's going to be all like human characters. How is it going to look? And it looked fucking amazing. It's
Yeah, because they didn't really. They were like, yeah, they look like humans, but like we're not gonna adhere to specific body styles for
Right.
them. They all look very different,
right. Absolutely.
almost as if they're their own creatures.
Right. Yeah. And I said this in our lists episode from 3 years ago, but it is one of my favorite superhero movies.
Yeah,
It is a great superhero story. It is Brad Bird just fucking nailed it, man, and he tapped into something very primal in the geek community. That's why that movie is so beloved, and I love it. And Incredibles 2 just continues that. Incredibles 2 is an amazing film. I think it's just as good as the first. I don't think it's better than, but it's just as good as the first one, and it just makes a great double feature. So that's my number 2.
My number 2, I chose the movie that we just talked about, Coco.
Nice.
My number 2.
I love it.
Andrew really loved it.
Yeah.
Love it.
He loved it more than you, apparently.
That's fine.
If you want to know, if you want to hear about Coco, we did a whole episode on it. I'm still singing Un Poco Loco. But yeah, that's my number 2.
Oh, yeah. Number 2 for me is Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2.
Nice.
Interesting.
I absolutely love this movie. It's the Toy Story movie of all the Toy Story movies that I've seen more than anything. The songs in it were good. I love the story of Woody like discovering his past and all of that. A lot of fun. And it's a lot less spooky than the first one because Sid was like super fucked up, that kid.
And the hybrid monster toys, yes.
The baby's head with
The spider
legs.
Oh,
the Connect spider legs.
do not like.
The fishing hook with legs was a hooker.
My
But yeah,
God.
Toy Story 2, the idea that the first one was we have to save Buzz, and then obviously the second one is we gotta save Woody. I love that they did that.
So my number 2 is Monsters, Inc.
Nice.
Love the Monsters, Inc. Concept, and just it's so quotable and memorable. There's so many funny moments in that.
Yeah.
Sully and Mike are like such a good combination. I remember seeing somewhere that Sully had over 20,000 individual pixels or something for his model, which is astounding.
It was seeing him on screen for the first time was fucking amazing.
I feel like he was designed before Mike was.
We blew our load on
They
this.
put all the budget into Sully.
It took so long to render him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every frame took forever to render. I can't even imagine those poor artists.
Just like, oh, you calling it a day? It's only noon. Yeah, he's gonna take about 6 years to render, so I'm gonna go fucking lay down.
All right, so number 1, let's get into it. Brian.
So, I remember going to see Toy Story in the theaters when it came out, and I liked it. I thought it was good. And then I, went into college after that and became like a little bit of a cynical douchebag and was like, I don't watch kids' movies anymore and that kind of stuff. And one of my roommates then, my junior year, had like one of his first DVDs was A Bug's Life. And we watched the fuck out of that so many times that year, and I went and got the Blu-ray for myself, the DVD for myself, and now I've got the Blu-ray. And that is my favorite Pixar movie, is A Bug's Life.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
It is.
Hell yeah.
It is such a funny fucking movie. To me, it's the funniest Pixar movie. I still laugh at it. I know that much like the first Cars movie is kind of a rehash of Doc Hollywood, and that A Bug's Life is a little bit of a rehash of Three Amigos. I don't give a fuck. It's fucking great. I love it. All the insect humor, all the puns, all the visual gags, like they all land for me. I thought, even though it is Kevin Spacey, I thought Hopper was a great villain, and that all the grasshoppers were great. I watch it. I watch that when I am depressed. I watch that when I just want to laugh. It's like a warm blanket that I put on, and I fucking love that movie. I love Flick. Flick is such a great fucking character.
Yeah.
When they had that Funko Pop come out where he's got like kind of the green, like almost army hat on, and he's got his rucksack and everything, I was like, "Yep, sold."
Funny story. Amanda had a Flick backpack in 8th grade.
Oh wow!
And when we started dating, she never wore it again.
you made her get rid of it, you heartless bastard.
Oh, I thought it was an awesome backpack, and I thought it would be a conversation piece for the two of us. We started dating, and it never saw the light of day again. She just thought she was like embarrassed to have it or something.
Which means that
as if I didn't see it before starting to date her.
Dating you killed something within her. Way to go.
Yeah, the childlike wonder. It's just gone for her now. But yeah, you said his name, and I was like, oh fuck, she had that backpack. That's right.
My number one is Toy Story, the first Toy Story.
Awesome.
So I remember seeing that in the theater. Was it 95?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember going. It was in Wheaton. It was in Wheaton, Maryland, and I went with my dad. I remember watching that movie and just being like, it was crazy. It was like it was the first feature-length computer-generated film.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there because I love cartoons and things, just being like, what the hell am I looking at right now? This is amazing. Blah. And even looking back today, it still looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Ish.
Yeah.
Dude, that's funny as fuck that you saw it with your dad, because I also saw it with my dad. It was I think it was like Christmas '95.
Something like but it was pretty revolutionary.
I too saw it with my parents, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, having your mom there doesn't count, Brian. We're talking about dads.
Yeah. I have this one memory of sitting in class, in French class, and we were watching another Pixar movie in like 9th grade, because I guess the teacher was hungover then too. And I had zero skateboards. The logo is a skull, but it's the skull from Sid's shirt.
Yeah.
And I realized
yeah.
I'm sitting in class in chucks and jeans and that black shirt while we're watching Toy Story. And I'm looking around, and I keep noticing people looking at me until I look down. I'm like, oh, fuck, I look exactly like Sid right now.
And then you went home and realized all the toys that you've been mangling and building with like erector set parts, and you're like, oh shit, I'm a psychopath.
Oh, no, I kept very good care of my toys. They were all happy to see me.
That's fucking great. Oh, man. So you guys all know this, but my number one is Monsters, Inc. For all the reasons that you guys said, but a quick little nugget is that it came out November 2nd, 2001, which is less than a month after 9/11. And it was probably one of the first things that I remember enjoying after that, because like that was kind of difficult. I had a lot of family from New York and working in New York, and Monsters, Inc. was like one of the first things that like allowed me to laugh again.
How dare you, Robert? You
After-
could have watched Zoolander. That came
Yeah.
out. That came out post 9/11 and could have made you laugh.
But I think it suffered at the theater, obviously, because of that.
Yeah.
But upon home video release, unending amount of views. And Brian, like you said with Bug's Life, this is the movie that, like, if there's nothing on, or I'm just like a little down, like Monsters, Inc. is my go-to.
Absolutely.
Billy Crystal as Mike Wazowski fucking kills me.
Mike Wazowski.
Always watching.
And John Goodman's portrayal of just like the super protective Sully really always stuck with me. I love that character so much.
Steve
Yeah.
Buscemi
Sully,
as Randall.
I love that character. Yeah, Steve Buscemi is Randall. His eyes look exactly the same.
That's the real man. Because he's a lizard person, you see.
What's up, cool kids?
What's up, fellow kids? What?
Yeah, I love Monsters, Inc. That's my number one, undoubtedly.
My number one is Toy Story. Bar none.
Yeah.
Adore that movie. I remember it was the very first movie I've ever seen in the theater.
Wow.
That was my first film. I remember going to see it with my dad and my brother. Yeah, it's just everything about it. Love the characterization of Buzz, Woody, Slinky Dog, Mr. Potato Head. Like, they're all iconic, and even like
You left out Ham.
well, yeah, but like Bo Peep, like all of those characters, Etch-a-Sketch. It's just
angry that
it's
you
so
left out
memorable. That's the movie that I'll put on anytime and have a great time watching it. Is the first one. And going back and saying how Sid was terrifying, he actually was. And I think that's partially why I like horror, is rooted in Toy Story.
Really? Wow. Interesting.
Was it Toy Story 2 or 3 where he comes back as he's a garbage man?
3.
Is it 3?
That was 3, yeah.
Nice.
Again, going to our Facebook comments here, we got Jason once again. His top 5 are Inside Out, Monsters University, Ratatouille, Monsters Inc., and Toy Story.
Nice. It's a good list.
Yeah. It's very hard to go wrong with the Pixar movies. I mean, even watching.
Unless somebody's got Cars and Cars 2.
Well,
Wow. Oh, wow.
So before we dive into our next list, which is childhood TV, let's hear from good friend of the podcast, Paul.
Oh, take it away, Paul.
What's up, guys? This is Paul with my top 5 list of favorite childhood TV shows, starting with number 5, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, number 4, Kablam, number 3, Courage the Cowardly Dog, number 2, Ren and Stimpy, number 1, Batman the Animated Series.
Damn, Paul, those are all fine choices. Thank you so much for sending that in.
I really can't believe he said that for number 2. I think we're going to have to do something about that. Like, we need to have a talk with him.
So for childhood TV, I approach this purely from a cartoon standpoint.
Okay.
It's dark, but my number 5 is actually a pretty dark TV show. It was a show or a cartoon that, much like most children's cartoons, are to sell toys, called Exo Squad.
Ooh, I don't know that one.
This is a show that came on that premiered in '93, I think. So it's like in middle school, and it was basically they were selling mechs. Like mech toys,
Gotcha.
where the little 3 3/4 figures fit into these mech suits and stuff, which were fucking amazing toys. But it's a super dark sci-fi show about in 150 years in the future, something like that. Our military is out in space in the solar system fighting like space pirates, and meanwhile we've created this whole race of basically cloned servants, slaves that uprise against humanity and wipe most of humanity out. And this is a kids show, mind you.
Dude,
to
this
sell
sounds fucking awesome.
toys. And it's so fucking dark, but it is so fucking good. It's 2 seasons, and it delves into really like gray area shit of war and war crimes and all this stuff. I was riveted, and I wish it had gone for more, because in the second season they tease in the last episode aliens being introduced, and I was like, I want to see that. And then of course it got canceled. So
this was the hardest list for me because I watched a ton of television when I was a kid.
Same.
We all did, because parenting.
Yeah, it was my mom. She had 4 kids. Whatever. I was the youngest. It's fine. I would start with my number 5 would be Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Nice.
I fucking love that show. We were just watching a few episodes recently, and it's still fucking great, and it's hilarious, and I still quote it from time to time.
And they might be giants.
Yeah, and they might be giants.
You, sir, are bald.
Why I oughta. Rob?
So I did not strictly adhere to cartoons, as that would have drastically changed my list. But Ready Yet, Get Set, number 5 is All That.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
Huh.
The kids SNL on Nickelodeon, where I have been watching Kenan Thompson do sketch comedy my entire life.
Yeah, accurate.
And he's probably one of the best people that's ever done it.
Yeah.
And it all started on All That with Pierre Escargot.
Is he now the longest running cast member on SNL?
Yes.
Good for him.
Right, yeah. Currently, he is the longest tenured cast member on SNL, yes.
Guy's awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, All That was my lead-in to enjoying sketch comedy.
Nice.
And like the only reason I really have an appreciation now for things like that used to be Mad TV and SNL and Key and Peele and Dave Chappelle and all of those shows. My foundation first was All That.
Nice. My number 5 was Kenan and Kel.
Nice.
Nice, dude.
Another Kenan Thompson
Spinning
program.
out of all that, we had Keenan and Kel. Fantastic show. Who loves orange soda? Kel loves orange soda.
Orange soda.
Oh, here it goes.
Just the sheer insanity that show was.
Dude.
But I was
That
a
was
big
so
fan of like all that, the Amanda Show, Good Burger, like big fan of Keenan and Kel.
So my number 4 might be a little controversial, but I am unable to separate these shows out because when I would get back from elementary school, I would sit down and I would watch them for the solid 2 hours that they were on, and it's the Disney afternoon.
Right on.
It would be DuckTales, Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck. Those are the 4 that I really remember being on.
Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears, I think, were on Saturday mornings for me. I don't know if they were part of the Disney afternoon. They were. Gummy Bears was great. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, the Disney afternoon, I ate that up like it was food. I just sat there and just loved it. All 4 of those shows, and they added more shows later on, dropped some of those shows, but Disney afternoon was just always consistently really great and just a way for me to avoid doing homework.
It just worked out this way that my top 5 are all cartoons. I didn't mean for it to be like this, but that's just
Okay,
how it
fair
ended
enough.
up. My number 4 is Rocko's Modern Life.
Nice.
Nice. That is my number 4.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So it's something I didn't realize until later on in life was artistically it had a really big influence on me. The way, because I remember when I was a kid, whenever I would draw houses and things, they'd be that weird slanted shape, and I put a lot of triangles and things and just stark geometric shapes and stuff, and a lot of that is from Rocko's Modern Life. And it was so gross and weird and funny, and I loved Rocco because he was like this little underdog that just had the most horrible shit happen to him consistently, and he was always good-natured, and it was funny, and I fucking loved that show.
The big heads.
Huge, the big
And
heads.
there was a lot of adult themes in that program.
He worked at a sex phone line.
Yeah.
And he goes,
Yeah.
oh baby, oh baby, oh baby. And he's talking to Mrs. Bighead.
Yep.
Rocco.
Oh, Rocco.
Or when she was like, feel my eyes. He was like, what do you think of my eyes? And it's just supposed to be her boobs.
Yeah.
Like, they got away with a lot of... Heifer got jerked off by a machine
Yep.
in one episode. When it
Yep.
was supposed to be like the milking machine.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a boy.
You turn the page, you wash your hands.
That's your hands.
You turn the page, you wash your hands.
That's your hands.
I think the what was his name? Norbert?
Filbert.
Or something? Filbert, that's it. I think he's really set the table for a lot of like neurotic people our age.
Yeah.
That turtle character. Turtle on his shell, not good.
You wanna hear something crazy? The same guy
Yes.
that voices Filbert voices Plankton in SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Nice. Interesting. I think Tom Kenny does Rocco.
Tom Kenny does Heifer.
Heifer.
Carlos Alazraqui does.
That's
does
right.
Rocco.
That's right. The Yokero Taco Bell guy.
Yeah, and he was also
Reno 911.
Reno
Reno
911.
911. Yeah.
Yep. He does Rock. That's right. I knew fucking Tom Kenny was in that show somewhere. But yeah, he does Heifer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So SpongeBob is Heifer.
That's
Crazy.
wild.
So yeah, that's my number 4 too. So just move on.
So my number 4 is Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Oh,
Nice.
good one.
From
That's a good one.
95. Just growing up, watching that show, watching the reruns. When I think Spider-Man, those character designs are what I think of. The way that those characters sound is what I associate my comic books with when I read Spider-Man.
When I read Spider-Man, I still to this day hear it in that Peter
Yeah.
Parker's voice.
It's either that Peter Parker or Reno Romano, who did the Spider-Man in the PS1 games.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
And that was a great theme song for it too,
yeah,
like a modern version of a Spider-Man.
Spider blood, radioactive spider blood.
that was Joe Perry from
Oh, that's cool.
Aerosmith.
That's cool.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that was a great show. All right, so my number 3 is a Saturday morning cartoon that was on, I think, only one season, unfortunately, but kind of relating back to my number 5. This is also a show with a bit of a dark edge to it. Pirates of Darkwater.
Brian,
Yeah.
did you just fucking say Pirates of Darkwater?
I just fucking said Pirates of Darkwater because I would watch this show and I would like find little toy swords that I had and like tape them together in ways that the characters had them, because one of the characters had like a double scimitar and shit like that.
Yeah.
And it was like on a different planet where there's this shit called Darkwater that's like its own like living sentient thing that just envelops people like the
water.
Well, yeah, evil water that just eats people like the fucking Blob. And there are these pirates on these huge fucking ships. Like, it was such a cool show. Doesn't hold up. I went back and watched it a few years ago, and the animation ain't great. Yeah, it doesn't really hold up. But back then, man, good God. I think it was 1991, so I was like fucking 12, and I was just like, give me more.
I wasn't even born yet.
Hanna-Barbera, right?
I think so, yeah. I think it was a Hanna-Barbera. Yeah, not in the style that most Hanna-Barbera cartoons are. You know, it's a very more realistic look of people. Like, people looked like people instead of like Hanna-Barbera cartoons like the Flintstones or anything like that.
That made me happy, dude. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah, dude.
My number 3 is Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Nice.
Because that show, I watched that before I watched Batman, the animated series. And Spider-Man is what got me into comic books. And so I credit that show with, you know, my love of comics and what I want to do with my life and all this. It all started from that show. And I remember watching the final episode. I remember sitting in the living room when it came on, because I was waiting for like weeks. And I was like, oh, we're building up. I can't believe it's the last one. And we get to the last one. And I remember sitting there, you know, like when you watch something or read something really good and then it ends and you have that profound emptiness in you. Jesus. That was the first time I felt that, because it was over. And then I started getting into the comics, and it just all took off from there.
I just started watching more episodes of that on Disney Plus.
Nice. You know, fun fact, there's only 3 punches ever thrown in the show.
Yeah, their censors were a lot more strict than Batman the Animated Series. So they had so many restrictions placed on them. It was tough to be as creative as they were.
I haven't watched that in a while. Does he just web a lot of people up? Is that what it is?
There's that.
It's a lot of like webbing, throwing people, people like running into shit.
Yeah. Okay. Or they cut away from stuff.
It's a lot of people attacking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
More so than him attacking people.
That's fascinating.
From what I remember.
That's fascinating.
My number 3 is Batman the Animated Series.
Ooh. Wow.
Three.
Lower than I thought. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Batman the Animated Series. Obviously, love that show. We talked all about it in episode 28 if you want to hear our full thoughts.
It doesn't sound like you loved it if you put it at number 3, but you know. Whatever.
It made a top 5. It made a top 3 of the top 5. That's a fantastic...
That is a good rank. That is a good
top
rank.
2.
It's a bronze. It's not a silver or a gold.
It is what it is.
My number 3 is Rugrats.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Fucking love that show, man.
Great show.
We'll go back and just rewatch, and it still holds up for me, in my opinion.
Nice.
I don't know if it's
Junk
just the
food
nostalgia or what, but every time that show is like on or near me, I will go out of my way to kind of watch it.
Nice. It's definitely nostalgic as well, and that as soon as you said that, the theme song started playing in my head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also had a PS1 game, was not very good.
Oh, I fucking loved that game, The Search for Reptar.
Maybe
Reptar.
that's probably what it was.
Oh, fuck, that game was amazing. I used to play that game for hours. Legitimately, we'll sit there for hours and play that game.
That's what I do with the Spider-Man PS1 game. Yeah.
So my number 2 is Batman the Animated Series. Again, we talked about it. Just fucking love that show. I couldn't make it my favorite of all time because there is one ahead of it. But yeah, Batman, number 2.
Yeah, same.
Yay, high five!
That was it was, it was after Spider-Man. I started watching that, and I was like, holy mother of God, this is fucking Batman? Hell yeah. And then, again, it all
And
went
then
from there.
from there forward, you were like, "This is fucking Batman."
Yeah. Every
Less
time
of a
I see
question
Batman.
and more of a declarative.
Yeah.
My number 2 childhood television program of all time, The Animaniacs.
We're the
Ooh.
Animaniacs.
I
Diddle-diddle-did.
watched this show so much. I think I had 3 or 4 VHSs of random episodes, sing-alongs, that kind of thing. So when it wasn't on TV to watch live, I watched it then. My cousins and I all watched it together.
And that just happened again recently.
It did happen again recently. We all sang the songs. Each of us was a specific character. Samantha was Dot, obviously. I was Yakko, and Paul was Wacko.
Wacko is
and
my
we
favorite.
were the Animaniacs together.
Nice.
God, I can't remember his name now. The voice of Yakko.
Rob
Paulson?
Rob Paulson, yeah. He redid Countries of the World.
Yes,
Nice.
I saw that.
recently and added a bunch of new ones and took some out, yeah.
That's cool.
Funny. My number 2 is also Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah. High
Nice.
five.
Fuck yeah.
So
Combo breaker.
that shows it means everything to me as far as childhood TV. But even like as an adult, like going and rewatching that, it holds up.
So my number 1, this goes back to when it came out. I was probably like 6, maybe 7. But I ate it up. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. That is my number 1 childhood TV.
Nice.
G.I. Joe.
Between, well, it was all gifted because I was a kid. I didn't have a job. So I was gifted so much G.I. Joe shit. I watched every episode multiple times. It's one of the only cartoons that I have on disc. I have the box set. I fucking loved that show.
That's
and
awesome.
It doesn't quite hold up, except maybe with some things in my system. It holds up, but
Just nostalgia purposes, like,
absolutely.
it still holds up for you.
absolutely, and I still love it. The greatest thing about it is that it gave birth to the parody G.I. Joe PSAs that you can find on YouTube. Pork chop
Use the body
sandwiches,
massage.
yes, body massage machine go. Find those if you were a G.I. Joe fan as a kid and laugh your ass off because they're not only absurdist humor, but they're also great parodies. So, G.I. Joe, number 1. Knowing is half the battle.
The other half is violence. I was
Unbridled violence.
my number 1, which I thought would be Brian's, but I guess he was
Older?
G.I. Joe. Yeah.
I'm older.
Well, no,
Yeah, when he said 6 or 7, I was like, well, it's definitely not the same fucking thing.
yeah. My number 1 is The Simpsons.
Nice.
Because I mean shit, I've been watching that show. It came out in 89? I was born in 88. So my entire life, more or less.
Wow.
And I mean it's The Simpsons. What else can you say? I would watch it with my family when I was growing up. It was just one of the shows that we watched together. We didn't really do that a whole lot.
Yeah.
And that was one of the ones that that we all got to sit down and watch. And
Yeah, that one fell through the cracks for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even think about it. But I would definitely say that that's probably on my childhood TV list somewhere because I watched the shit out of that when I was a kid. But maybe I didn't think of it because I fell out so hard when I got older.
especially because it was the first 10 years of my life when I was watching it, and that was the golden era.
We used to watch it on a tiny little TV in our kitchen while we were eating dinner.
Yeah.
Because the same hour that we would be sitting down to eat dinner was the Simpsons, like in reruns or whatever on whatever channel.
And the Who Shot Mr. Burns,
Oh
I
my
remember
God,
all
yeah.
this like waiting to see it.
Uh,
I remember that summer
pop-
specifically.
The show was such a pop culture nexus,
Yeah.
My not including that on this list does not mean that I do not love that show.
Oh, I know you
It
love
is more. It is more that I consider that not a kids show, not a childhood TV show for me.
Right,
that was more of just a sitcom, and I did watch a fuckload of sitcoms as a kid. I mean, I was all about Night Court, I was all about, Seinfeld and Friends. And
Yeah.
I watched so many sitcoms when I was a kid. Golden Girls. I watched that too with my family. But I consider that more of just like a nighttime show that I would watch with my family instead of like an actual kids show. But
Childhood TV.
but I do fucking the first 9 seasons of Simpsons are some of the greatest television ever written. So absolutely.
Rob, I think you and I have the same number 1.
Shocking no one.
Yeah.
You guys should go with it.
Do you want to do it on 3?
Yeah, sure.
1, 2, 3. Power
Mighty Morphin
Rangers.
Power Rangers. My love for I remember coming home from, I don't know if it was daycare. It had to be daycare because it debuted in the summertime. Oh, I don't know that I would have started preschool that early in the summer. My cousins, Samantha and Paul, were at my grandparents' house. They told me about a show that they saw, and the next time it aired, I watched it, and it completely took over my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I almost joined karate because of it.
Yeah.
I was this close to joining a strip mall karate school because of it. And the only reason I didn't do that was because I realized everybody didn't wear socks or shoes, and I was out.
Yeah, you have to be okay with athlete's foot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, everybody's sweaty feet
Ugh,
were on the
ugh,
same
ugh,
gross mat,
ugh.
and I was like, I'm out. Otherwise, Power Rangers fucking 100%. I had multiple birthday parties that were themed that. They were at some sort of Monster Jam thing when I was younger, and we were all set to go for it. My mom was just waiting on my uncle's girlfriend to bring directions because we didn't have the internet to fucking get there at the time. So I was dressed up. I had a Power Rangers t-shirt on with a bunch of Power Rangers stickers, and they were like on my shoes and on my pants, and my socks were Power Rangers. And the lady didn't come through till like 8:30 at night with the directions, and we didn't go. Massive fucking disappointment because I thought they were the real Power Rangers that were going to be there.
And that's why you're a villain today.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy the bad guys now. I will never forget the day she came through the fucking door. I got the directions, and my mom was like, "We're not going." Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm broken.
And that's why I decided to remove the cherries from inside the cherry cordials and replace them with mayonnaise to set the world on fire.
Simpsons did it.
Oh man. Yeah, I loved Power Rangers as a kid. Recently just watched the Toys That Made Us episode based on
Yes.
Power Rangers.
Oh, I haven't seen
Oh
it.
my
And it was
God.
such a trip down nostalgia lane.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, the sheer amount of toys that I owned.
Dude, I have a box right now in my mom's attic full of them.
same. Like
Full.
just the toys, the morphers that you could buy separately, like the Halloween costumes that I owned that I would constantly wear all the time.
So the one year my mom made me a Green Ranger costume, and it looked good. It wasn't great. My cousin and I went as the Green and Pink Ranger. And then the following year when I was in kindergarten was when the movie came out, and she made me the White Ranger Ninjetti costume.
Nice.
And it looked way better than anything you bought off the shelf.
Yep.
It's fucking killer. It looks so fucking good. I have pictures of it, of me in it, and I thought I was Tommy. Like, I legit thought that I was him, channeling that energy all day long. The do-gooder in me.
It's really
Yeah.
a lot of things make more sense now that I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
No,
right.
and hey, the next movie that they're gonna do looks like it's gonna be set in the '90s, so
Nice.
it's gonna be more along the lines of the TV show.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even hear that, but that's
Yeah, I
cool.
saw it was an article I saw pop up a couple days ago. Yeah,
It's morphin' time! And then just fucking guitar shreds.
So going back to the Facebook comments, Jason made his top 5 childhood TV lists. He got WWF All-American Wrestling on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. on USA, hosted
wow.
by The Brain and Mean Gene.
oh wow,
Nice.
Number 4 is DuckTales. Number 3 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Number
Nice.
2 is
Solid.
G.I. Joe.
Hey.
And number 1 is Cops.
Oh,
acronym.
wow. I remember Cops.
Yeah, the
Oh,
animated
wow.
series.
Yeah,
Holy
that show was
shit.
nuts. Dude, there was a character named
That's fucking awesome.
BP Vess. He was like, I think the leader, and he had like guns that came out of his chest, and he had a
Yup.
bulletproof vest on top of it, and they had the coolest fucking helicopter. Oh, yeah, that's
Jason
again,
had all of those action figures growing up.
I had a couple of them, and they used actual like cap gun caps to like in the figure, so that oh man, that show was nuts, and the toy
That's
the toys
awesome.
were nuts too.
He owns the entire series on DVD.
Oh wow.
That's great.
All right, so moving on, let's go to the MCU films. But before we get to that, let's hear from Joe for his top 5 MCU movies.
Hi guys, my name is Joe O'Connor. I write reviews for Pop Kannon on the web, and these are my top 5 Marvel Cinematic Universe entries. First, I want to send an honorable mention to Netflix's Daredevil Season 3, created by Drew Goddard with Eric Olson as the showrunner. Number 5, The Avengers, directed by Joss Whedon. Number 4, Iron Man, directed by Jon Favreau. Number 3, Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler. 2, Avengers Endgame, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. And number 1, Captain America Civil War, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Joe. That's a great list. A little bit of controversy there at the end. Let's see how that all works out.
So we originally did this list back in 2016 when we did our first Christmas lists episode, but there have been 50 fucking films since then,
Basically.
including the highest grossing film of all time. So here are our updated MCU lists. So my number 5 is actually I believe it was my number 3 from 3 years ago, Captain America: Civil War.
Nice.
Andrew?
My number 5 is where it all started, Iron Man, the first one.
Nice.
Interesting that you still have that
it's
as
just-
in the top 5. Fascinating.
Yeah, it was. It's probably just more a nostalgia thing, and it was
Hey,
just the time.
look, it's a
period
great
when it
fucking
came
movie,
out.
you know?
So, yeah, but I don't know. It was the kickoff for all this. It just means a lot to me.
So I'm of two minds about this, and this is the argument we had basically last time, which was I have a hard time putting the Avengers quote-unquote team-up movies within this list. But if you guys all did that, which I'm assuming you
Yeah.
did.
I did.
Okay, I'll go with my amended list that includes the Avengers films.
Okay.
So number 5 for me then is Black Panther.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say like in my previous list I had like Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron were my 4 and 5. They are not in this list.
Yeah,
So
not anymore.
while I love them and they're great films, there have been better films since then. So
My list hasn't altered that much,
wow.
but number 5 for me is Avengers Endgame.
Okay. So my number 4, this actually fell down a few spots. It was my number 2 3 years ago, was Guardians of the Galaxy, but I have to amend it because now, much like when we were talking about Pixar movies, I watched this as a double feature. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 straight through. And it's fucking awesome doing that, by the way.
Nice.
Because they only take place a couple months apart. So yeah, that's my number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
It was a toss-up between Black Panther and Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Black Panther, I loved it. It was a fantastic movie. Doctor Strange was so visually stunning.
My number 4 is Captain America: Civil War.
That's my number 4 as well.
Nice.
What?
So Civil War, basically Avengers 2.5.
Yeah. Accurate. My number 3 is so this is where it started to get hard for me. Is like what do I put in the top 3? Is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Nice.
I love Homecoming so much. It's just And that's not to take away from Far From Home, or really any of the other movies that I left off this list. But Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel superhero, and Homecoming to me is just such a fucking perfect movie, a perfect Spider-Man movie, a perfect MCU movie. I fucking love it on so many levels. So that's my number 3.
That is also my number 3, Rob.
Hey, high five!
Yeah.
Number 3 for me is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Ooh,
Nice.
Ooh, it moved down from your number 1 spot.
It had to, because in my list where there are no Avengers films, it's number 1.
Okay, fair enough.
But having to include them,
Right.
it is number 3.
Right.
Nice. My number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy, the first
Nice.
one. Brian, you're number 2.
Now, my number 2 MCU movie is my number 1 from 3 years ago, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Nice.
It still fucking holds up. It still just fires on all cylinders.
It's such a good fucking movie.
It really is. It just really is. But yeah, it just had to move down. So,
Winter Soldier is also my number 2.
hey, high five!
This one was tough between that and Civil War. Like I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm pulling this out on the fly right now that I'm picking Winter Soldier over Civil War.
Number 2 for me is Endgame.
Okay.
Nice.
What?
Number 2 for me is Infinity War.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Loved the way that movie ended. I thought it was probably the perfect ending for any Avengers movie.
My number 1, it's again because I consider these just a double feature. Is Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. I cannot differentiate between those two. They just go boom boom right together. I can't. There's no way I can put any of the other films ahead of this double feature. It's fucking perfect. It just is. I can't. I don't know where the MCU goes now. I mean, obviously we know what's coming up, but it's such a cap, if you will, to 10 years. You know. Yeah.
My number 1 is Endgame. Because, like you said, it's the culmination of 10 years. It's a third of my life.
Number 1 for me is Infinity War.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah. Nice.
I love that it appeared as though the bad guy won.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget the reaction in the theater of people basically openly weeping.
Yeah.
So,
Which also happened at the end of Endgame.
yeah, but for different reasons. Similar reasons, but not exactly the same.
Right.
And if you want to hear our full thoughts on Infinity War, go all the way back to episode 1.
My number 1 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That was my
Nice.
number 1.
Fuck yeah.
Basically,
it was all
since
of our
I
number
saw
ones
it.
last time.
Like Endgame and Infinity War are their own giant scale thing. Winter Soldier also feels like that to me.
And yet somehow on a smaller scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It takes place almost entirely in DC and a little bit in New Jersey, you know.
But the whole like thriller spy element to it really puts it over for me.
Absolutely.
I'm not 100% sure if anything else can top it. So, MCU was like the most popular response that we got.
Yeah.
Shocking.
So, I'm going to run through a couple people's lists. So, this is from the Nomcast. They put number 5 as Avengers. Number 4 is Infinity War. Number 3 is Iron Man. Number 2 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And their number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's an interesting list.
We also got a top 5 list from 3 Fat Nerds Pod.
I love it.
So it's number 5 is Black Panther. Number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. Number 2 is Infinity War. And number 1 is Endgame.
I don't know how you put
I don't know. Yeah.
Ragnarok up there without Winter
Same.
Soldier.
I mean,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Ragnarok is my favorite of the Thors, but still not top 5. Like,
And then finally, friends of the podcast, Ghosts of the Stratosphere, sent in their top 5 MCU list, which is Thor Ragnarok at number 5, Infinity War at number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy at number 2, and Endgame at number 1.
Oh my god. Okay.
Fascinating. I look. Ragnarok is my favorite of the Thor movies. I just don't know how you put it in the top 5. But okay.
I'm like having a visceral reaction to that.
Jumping from MCU, let's get into our top 5 Christmas songs.
Hooray.
Want to just read 5 to
Yeah,
1?
we'll just read 5 to 1. Brian.
All right. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee. White Christmas, either by Bing Crosby and the Drifters. Carol of the Bells, either by Mannheim Steamroller or Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Nice.
The entire Charlie Brown Christmas album by Vince Guaraldi Trio, because that entire thing I have to listen to. And then finally, The Christmas Song, sung by Nat King Cole.
Nice. Andrew.
My number 5, I've got Silver and Gold. I don't remember the iteration I heard when I was a kid, but it's not the one from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but it just makes me think of Christmas. I personally don't really care for Christmas anymore. I hate Christmas music, but these are the songs that actually make me feel like a kid again. So, number 4, I have Christmas Time Is Here by the Vince Guaraldi Trio, the instrumental version. The You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch is number 3. The Hawaiian Christmas, I like that song a lot, as number 2. The Mele Kaliki Maka is the thing to say on this bright Hawaiian Christmas day.
Boom, boom, boom.
And then number 1, I don't know. Jingle Bells. I don't like fucking Christmas music, so.
Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking Grinch.
Fucking full-blown heel turn on that one. I have You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Thurl Ravenscroft at number 5. Number 4, Christmas at Our House by Lou Monte, Italian legend. Number 3, This Christmas by Donny Hathaway. Number 2, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee. And number 1, the only Christmas song that's ever mattered to me in my entire life, Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives.
There we go. Nice. I like it. Mine, number 5, is You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Thurl Ravenscroft.
Nice. High five.
Nice.
Number 4, It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas by Perry Como and the Fontaine Sisters. Number 3 is The Christmas Waltz by Frank Sinatra. Number 2 is Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives.
Nice.
And number
High five.
1 is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, specifically by Ingrid Michaelson.
Oh, you know what? No, put that as my number 1 too. Yep.
I love those songs, and like Andrew said, it makes me feel like a kid again every time I listen to them. So, Jason threw out on our Facebook his Christmas songs. He's got Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC. God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen by the Bare Naked Ladies. Step Into Christmas by Elton John. This Christmas by Donny Hathaway. And
Nice.
Ribbons and Bows by Casey Musgraves.
Nice.
So, a lot of good... I like how different our Christmas music selection was.
Oh, and how about Crabs for Christmas? Anybody you guys ever heard that?
Nope.
Sung in a
How can I avoid Crabs for Christmas is really what
it's sung in an extremely thick Baltimore accent.
So yeah,
Check
so
that
that's
shit out.
been our Christmas lists episode, guys. So for Pop Kannon, this has been episode 30. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Brian.
And happy holidays, everybody. I hope everyone has a good, rest of the year, rest of the decade.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We do wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
1 and a 2 and a...